Welcome to Bulldog Books. Hello, readers. Welcome to our story today. We are going to start with our nonsense words. So Miss Sunshine has her timer right here. Remember how this works. You are going to read as many of the nonsense words as you can. Then you're going to pause the video and count the number of words you were able to read. If you get the whole page done, go back and start over and then add all of the words that you read together to get your final score. So let me show you what words we are reading today. Get your best reading voice ready. On your mark, get set, timer on, and go. Ready and stop right there. Now's the part where you'll pause the video and count the number of nonsense words you were able to read. I'm excited about our book today, friends, because Miss Sunshine is reading a Western book right now. And so as soon as I saw this, I thought, oh, we got to read about bull riding. So the title of this book is called Daredevil Sports Bull Riding. And the author's name is Hal Garrison. And we're going to learn all about, this is a nonfiction book. We're going to learn all about the profession of bull riding. You may not have even known that was such a thing. Can you imagine having a job and your job was to ride a large animal with horns that's super strong and crazy? I'm really glad I have this job. I don't think I'd be such a good bull rider. So let's look at our table of contents. Remember, a table of contents is telling us all the different parts that this book has been broken into. And we have a bunch of different names of parts. And then we also have the page number over here on the right where those parts begin. Now, I wanted to show you at the bottom of our table of contents. There are two other important things to make note of if you are reading a book. The first one is found on page 32. So scan with your eyes down to the bottom of the table of contents, and you'll notice there is a glossary on page 32. A glossary means there are going to be words, vocabulary words in this story that you may or may not have ever heard before. So if we come across a word that you're not real sure about, when we get to the end of our book, we can take a look at the glossary to see if we need to look at that word again, make sure we understand what it means in the content or the context of this book. The other thing that we're going to find on page 32 is an index, which will again be another guide that we can use to figure out where we are in our book. You are going to be reading to me today. So let's take a look at our first page. Now, before you begin reading, I wanted to point out a couple of things. On the bottom of page 4, which is our first page that you'll begin reading in just one moment, notice this text feature. This is like a caption. And there are a lot of captions in this book that help us understand how a bull rider has to stay safe in their job. So this caption, let's look at it together. It says, risk factor. Though it's over quickly, some people consider bull riding to be the most dangerous or unsafe 8 seconds in sports. And it ends with this exclamation point, which tells us that there should be a lot of emphasis, feeling and emotion when we read that risk factor. So let's get ready with the first section of the book, Bull Riding. And I want you to read this title to me, A Risky 8 Seconds. Are you ready? Begin. So in looking at the page you just read, there's another text feature I want you to notice. Do any of the words in that paragraph stand out to you? If you said the bold text arena, you're correct. Our author is using a text feature known as bold text to draw our attention to a word that I bet we'll find in the glossary of this book. How many seconds does a bull rider have to stay on? 8 seconds. Very good. Let's move on. Let's read this page. And then let's take a look at the caption at the bottom of page 6. We'll read this together. Risk factor. A risk factor is an element of danger. Riders use one hand to hold onto a rope that's wrapped around the bull's chest. They usually keep their other hand up in the air. So how many hands is a bull rider allowed to hold on with? One hand. This just keeps getting crazier the more we read. Okay, page 8. This word is disqualified. Disqualified. Ooh, so once again, we see the text feature of bold text with the word disqualified. What do you think the word disqualified means? If we look at the way that it's used in this sentence, disqualified means they doesn't count. They don't get to count that right. Disqualified means that they are out. Let's look at the risk factor on page 9 and read this as a choral read all together. Risk factor. Bull riding often happens at rodeos. These are events where people take part in contests using horses, bulls, and other animals. Okay, let's look at the second section. What's the title of this? Scoring. Let's read this page. Remember this word disqualified. So there are 2 ways a bull rider is scored. We learned on this page. What are the 2 things that get scored in a bull riding competition? The rider gets scored and the bull gets scored. Let's choral read our risk factor on page 11. Risk factor. Each ride is worth up to 100 points, but scores above 90 are considered excellent. Good to know. Let's read page 12. getting ready. Ready? Okay, let's take a look at the risk factor altogether. Risk factor, another writer often helps the writer prepare and get on the bull. And in our picture or photograph on page 13, we have a text feature that is a label. And this label is showing us the area where the bull comes out. It's called a shoot. So that CH in the word shoot, it does not follow the rules of normal digraphs. It, instead of saying ch, which is what CH normally says, it says sh. Oh, we have some more labels on page 15. So remember earlier we read about how a bull rider is only allowed to hold on with one hand and that they are holding onto a rope that wraps around the bull's chest. So they are labeling on page 15, they are labeling for us the handle that that bull rider is holding on to. Okay, let's read page 16. Ooh, we have another text feature, bold text. It's not only in bold text on the page we just read, but can you see the label over in the photograph showing us the writer's glove? Let's read the risk factor all together. Risk factor, writers often put rosin on the rope and glove. This makes the rope sticky and easier to hold on to. I don't know if you've ever been around a tree like a pine tree that has pine sap, but that is what rosin is. And again, I bet at the end of this book, we are going to find that word in the glossary and the index. All right, readers, thanks for starting this read with me. I'm so excited to finish it the next time I'm with you. We are going to read all about the rest of bull riding. What a fun day. I hope you get to read some more today, and I will see you next time.